Yeah.
What's up, YouTube? It's me and him, and we're gonna pull off a big robbery today. We're gonna get hopefully buckets and buckets of gold. And our weapon of choice today, Honey Bandit. Stay tuned. Okay, of course you know we're not going to pull off no robbery. Not of the illegal kind anyway. But however, we are going to rob our bees today. We're probably going to pull all the supers off today, and then tomorrow sling honey. So me and Lane's out here early this morning. I say early, it's 8:30 or whatever, but get this over. It's probably supposed to, I think it's supposed to be like 97 today with a heat index of probably 110. I don't know about where you're at, but here in central Arkansas it is hot. We've harvested honey now, I guess 4 years. And every year it just seems to be different. Now, of course, on the honey flow, but some years we'll have real good production out of all of our boxes, and then some years they'll start out strong, and then all of a sudden either they get robbed or queen leaves and makes the hive weak. But as you can see right over there, there's a honey super sitting on its side. That's totally empty. We're fixing to bust into them and see how many we got that need to have all the supers pulled off the top of them. All right, this is our old jug of the honey robber, or honey bandit. Put it on this fume board, homemade fume board, just a box with like a little piece of fabric on it. Go over here. Put it on top of there like that, and we're gonna see, which I don't have to see, I know how it works, but leave a little gap for airflow, and that'll get it going through the hive. Them flapping their wings and everything, they'll start working their way down, working their way out of it. Usually around here we've got a pretty good little breeze. The day that we actually need it to kind of get this help circulating, we don't have it. So we'll see what it does. See, it's already pushed them way down, but we will get into both of these. We got another one over there with 2 supers, another one over there with 2 supers, and then a couple right here with supers. So we got some to look through today, see how many capped frames we got, and 'cause I like to pull them when they're about 100% capped. I know they say 80, but I want mine completely capped just because I don't want any of mine fermenting. We do sell some of this, so I don't want it fermenting on anybody. We're overcautious. If it's 60, 70, 80% capped and I don't pull it, I'll leave it for my bees. So we'll let this work and we'll be back in just a minute. All right, after this is set for say roughly 5 minutes or so, you always look in there and just see how far that's pushed them down. Then you'll pull it off the top real quick, and what we do, I've got 2 granite, not a board, but piece that he used as bottom boards. I don't like them for that, so I'll use these pieces and put on bottom and on top of my honey supers in the truck. That way, when they're in the truck, the bees can't get into them. Oh my goodness, that thing's heavy. Oh. Yeah, that's a lot of capped honey. Now there may be a frame on the outside that's not capped. Right. Let me look at this other one on here. And no, they've got, this one is not. I just put this one on here about a week ago. And right now, don't really have no nectar flow, so they're not doing much. There's some honey in that, but as you can see, there's none of it capped. So this whole hive body is gonna stay on them. So those are done. And let's get another one started working. I use big blocks on top of them. I don't want the tops blowing off of them with all this strong wind we have around. If you remember one of our other videos, this thing had red ants all over it the last time I was over checking. I think I was on that box over there checking the cutout hive. But I think I've about got them all killed out. Yep, that looks like quite a bit of capped honey. So we'll put our fume board on top and push them down. Give it roughly another 5 minutes and go from there. Woo, we're finally getting that breeze that we've been praying for. Man, it is humid out here today. This thing has been on there roughly 5 minutes. The outside frames on this don't look like it's capped. What I'll do though is I'll pull it off, check down in here, and if I got 1 or 2 frames in here that are pretty much completely capped and the ones on the outside this one aren't, I'll just swap them out and then leave this box on there just like I've done the other. One thing I have found out, every beekeeper is different, so everybody to their own, but I've read a lot and talked to a lot of people on Facebook, different places, about queen excluders. A lot of people don't like queen excluders. I do. I love queen excluders. Some people call them honey excluders. I'm here to tell you, right here is a queen excluder. I've got 2 supers on there. I run a single deep brood box for my queen, and then everything above that is honey supers. I also plant buckwheat. As you've seen in a lot of our other videos, we've got buckwheat. All right, we try to keep buckwheat growing all the way up through winter until the freeze hits. That way it gives our bees the honey for winter storage. Don't want to feed any bees. I've tried several different things. When I first started out, I was running double deeps. A lot of people swear by double deeps. Yes, they do got more bees in them, but I've watched several videos on people running single deeps and then honey supers above that with a queen excluder. That's my personal preference. That's what I like to do. I always give my bees plenty of honey for the winter. But one thing that I'm thinking about trying this winter is, instead of having the hassle in the spring of swarms or splits or this and that, I'm thinking this winter pulling all the honey supers off, going back to a double deep, and come next spring splitting that to 2 single hives, 2 single deep hives, and put honey supers back on them for the spring honey flow. The reason being, where we're at, it's hot, and I'm sure it's hot everywhere, but where we're at, it's so hot I don't have the time to mess with them, go through double deeps on all my hives. When I have the queen excluder, I know she's not up here. I can pull them off, pull that queen excluder off, go through there, find her. I'm all good to go. As y'all know, we've got so many different things going on the farm. When I started beekeeping, we just done it just for our honey. And as you can see, we expand. Oh. And when they glue them down, they glue them down. Let's see. there. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look. Yeah, nope. All right, so none of these are capped. They've all got drawn comb in them and they're putting honey in them just like the other one, but none of them are capped. So we're not gonna take nothing out of this one. We'll leave it for them for now. And then on those 2 frames in that other hive that I just, or the other super that I just pulled off, all we'll do there is leave those frames in there. And after we sling our honey, we set it outside, let every bee around, wild, these bees, whatever, come clean up all that honey. All right, hive number 3. Put it on here. I wish I could tell you I kept better records of where each one of these hives come from. Some of them I know, some of them I've had for a few years. Several of them are swarms I've caught. If I look back on other videos, I could probably tell you, I think this one right here was a swarm we caught out of this cedar tree here. We catch several of them out of the cedar tree. I know both of these just a few months ago was just a single deep and it wasn't all the way full. They have exploded and they are both full. This one right here doesn't have a whole lot of theirs capped. They've got a whole lot of honey in it, but I don't know if it's the humidity or what. They're still working on theirs. I think they've only had this honey super on about a week and a half. This right here was our queen castle. Our queen castle failed. I left some weak bees in there and the hive beetles took over. They demolished it, so had to freeze it. I moved what bees I could salvage out into a deep. They're doing good. They're going to make it. And from there we've got another one that I've done a split on. I think we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them singles without supers on them, just trying to build their population up. A lot of them, if they're not very strong, come wintertime, I'll do a merger. I'll do a video on that, how we merge 2 hives of bees. But right now we're focused on getting this gold. Hey guys, we're back for day 2. Yesterday we had some things come up and we got, let's see, 4 supers to sling today, so we got to get busy. I was going to kind of run through a few things that you need to do all this. Of course, the honey slinger makes it so quick and easy. Andrea runs the honey slinger. We've got one that does 2 frames.
As you'll see as we do it, there's much more advanced models than what we have. We got this thing really cheap. Ben scored us a really big bargain trading with the guy. I can't remember what you traded. But,
I love to barter. It was actually a
like a, you can use
observation hive.
Yeah, for like educating, you can take it to schools and stuff. We didn't use it, probably weren't ever going to. So got this at a bargain. So you're gonna see as we do it here in a minute, there's much more advanced models, but this works great for us and got it on the cheap.
It works. It gets the job done. Something else, I've made this up, a little Rubbermaid tote, drilled a couple of holes in the side, put a little 1x with a screw in it. That's what I use to do the cappings. I'll set the side of the frame on that nail and sit here with a knife and cut the cappings off. They'll fall down in there. Then we'll end up at the end of the day putting all those cappings and that honey in the filter, letting that strain out.
So we'll show you all that as we do it.
Of course, the 5-gallon buckets with the valve on the bottom of them makes filling your jars of honey up. Another thing I've done is I had another bucket that was cracked at the bottom, so I cut the top of it off, and that is what I set my filter in, which is here. Set my filter in there, and that holds it all up above.
You can fill your bucket up a lot.
Yeah, you can fill it pretty much all the way full. So that's what we use in this part. And
obviously you can tell we're not outside. We're inside our garage. If you have like a shed, outbuilding, garage, something like that, you can get in, and we've put a little window unit over here because it is going to be 110 heat index today. It's hot here in Arkansas. But if you can get inside anywhere and get shut in away from bees and flies and all that kind of stuff, you'll be so much more comfortable. We've been stung by bees harvesting honey when we didn't get all the bees out of the garage. Flies will swarm you and get in your honey. It's nasty, so it just works better if you can get in somewhere like this.
Yep. So
another thing I wanted to mention, and this, I'm a numbers person, and I like to kind of know how much we're gonna have. As Ben will tell me, like, we're gonna have this many supers. But I've pretty much figured out, and it almost comes out exact every time. A full honey super will yield us 2.5 gallons of honey.
And that's the small honey supers.
Yeah, that's a small.
Well, I've got 2 of the medium honey supers, and of course they're going to do a little more because the frames are a little bigger. But
mainly
all we have is the
use
small
the small
ones.
So that's just a rough estimate to go by. Now it may differ a little bit for you depending on how drawn out your comb is and how much honey they pack in there. But our comb is drawn out pretty good, and that's pretty much what it yields each time. So that's just a little tip for you.
You ready to get started?
I think so. I think we've got one fly in here and it's going to be aggressive. So we'll let this run and just let you see kind of how we do things. So stay with us.
And this is nice.
Yeah, this makes me nervous.
One thing I forgot to mention in there, we use a little bread knife. And I also, on most of my honey supers, I have where they only put 9 frames in there. They got a little separator bar. That way they draw the comb out a little farther. It's out past the edge of the frame on most of them. A lot easier to take the cappings off.
And just remember, this part, Ben is a perfectionist, so it kills him to like get too deep into when he's cutting the comb off or the cappings off. But like he told you, at the end, we're gonna pile all this in our strainer, and it strains out really well. We just leave it for a couple days sitting there. You're gonna get all the honey out of these cappings too, so don't stress about that part.
Okay, one thing I'm gonna show you is I run right down the outside and it pulls all the cappings off that were protruded out past the wood. These right here, they didn't pull the comb out as far, so it's hard to get them out. Don't rightly know where my little tool is to...
You want me to go find it?
Yeah. Forgot about this, but this is a little tool Andrea bought me. I think it's called a decapper or whatever, but you put it in behind it and just pop them off like that.
You're supposed to be able to use that to uncap the whole frame. That would take a while. So
see how you push it in below? Just rake that
kind of use
out.
the knife and that. Seems to work pretty good.
Just like so. One thing about it is you can't go wrong, because what you don't get uncapped or you don't get slung out or whatever, here you go. We're gonna feed it back to the bees, so.
Okay, I'm gonna give you another one to do, and then we'll kind of pull the camera up and show them what I'm gonna do.
Go ahead and set that one in there.
And these things are heavy.
Oh yeah.
When we first started with bees, I thought, how much are we possibly gonna get? I mean, it's gonna take a whole frame to get a tablespoon of honey. That's wrong. They pack a lot of honey into each one of these frames.
Try to get it over here where you can see it. They call me a perfectionist. I'm not that much of a perfectionist. There's that. Got most of it there. One little spot. Pull those caps off. Pull those off.
He says he's not a perfectionist, but the kids and I say different. We have totally different working styles. I'm a let's jump in there and get 25 things done in a day. They call me a slave driver. He's more of a take your time, do it right. Even if we only do one thing today, let's do a good job. And so, you know, if you're homesteading or trying to work off your farm, even if you're not making a living off of it, if you're just trying to have a homestead together with your spouse, you got to kind of compromise and work together depending on each other's styles, I guess you'd say. So there's times he has to tell me, you're slave driving, you got to chill. And there's times I have to tell him, okay, that's good enough, let's go, let's get moving.
The latter is what you hear more often.
Yeah, right.
All right, there's number 2.
Okay, you want to bring the camera up here and I'll kind of show them?
Yep. Another thing I forgot to mention a while ago, I bring out a little bitty bowl of water with a rag in it, because you will get sticky and nasty. And as y'all know, this is our new camera, so we don't want to get it nasty. All right, might get bumpy for a second.
Okay, so this is how our slinger works, and we learned this by trial and error. We messed up a few times. If you want it to sling right, you need to be consistent about, like, this is the wider side of the frame, that's the top. I put it up against this bar, and same over here. You've got to have these opposite each other. So this is the wider side up against this bar. Here's the 2 wider sides. If you don't do it like that, it won't sling right. And I'm just saying that because if you're having trouble with your slinger, look at something like that. Okay, so this is kind of old-timey. You want to keep your hands out of it.
Locked in.
There we go. Okay, so I have to kind of hold it still. Pretty good, but I just get it going, then I let it sling, and it'll sling right out against those walls. It's pretty cool. Okay, and then I put this down and it stops this from spinning, and I just let it spin till it slows down, hit the brake and stop it. Then that's only slung one side of your frame, so then you flip these over, flip them both over, do the whole process again. I'm gonna show you that. Now,
lock it in.
This is our first time in a year, so I have to remember how to do everything. Okay, now believe it or not, that just slung out about 2 quarts or half gallon of honey. I know that's crazy. It doesn't look like it at the time because it's all running down the sides.
Sorry about that.
But there's about 10 frames. Sorry, you can't even see me. There's about 10 frames in each of these supers, and I told you it'll produce 2.5 gallons. So that is like 10 quarts. Okay, so these two together each slung out a quart. So we've already got like half a gallon. This is light as a feather now.
What's that?
Pretty much empty, but it doesn't damage any of their little cells, so they can fill it right back up.
Now every one of those cells are empty. Well, what we do is we turn around and we put all these right back in the honey super, and we set the super outside. The bees come and clean all this up, and depending on the time of year, we will I usually store them. I found a Coke machine, or a Coke ice box I should say, that I store them in over the winter, keep the wax moths out of them.
But when we get done, we'll drain all the honey out of this slinger we can, and then the bees will even do the majority of cleaning up the slinger.
Yep.
Ben got out the water hose and a rag yesterday and just kind of rinsed the dust off of it because it's been a while since we've used it, but for the most part they clean it up. So anyway, we're just gonna let you watch us for a while. We'll probably speed this up now that we've kind of shown you the process. We're just gonna keep going because we got a lot of frames to sling. been 20 minutes. We've slung another super, and you can see there's bees already all over this. They can smell it.
But I want you to look. It's not only just honeybees. I'm telling you, if you do this inside, right there's a red wasp. Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, if you do this outside, look at everything you've got to contend with. I would never recommend it. But that is one perfect way to clean up your supers. 2 days after we've slung the honey, we let it set in the jugs and let all the air bubbles float to the top. Makes your honey look a lot prettier. What we've got here is we've got jars that family members or people we go to church with, good neighbors, have blessed us with and given them to us. So we repurpose these jars. We put them through the...
well, I bleached them. I took some... We've hit quite a few hauls on jars over the years. And we usually try to use those for honey because sometimes a lot of these are old mayonnaise jars. They're fine to can in, but they're just perfect for honey. So what I do is I bought a toilet scrubber that I only use for scrubbing jars because they're really stiff and have coarse bristles. So I'll set up out in the yard with some bleach water or strong soap or something, because some jars people give you are going to be pretty nasty. So I'll scrub these out really good, get them rinsed, and then I'll run them through the dishwasher, get them good and clean. I don't use my dishwasher a whole lot, but I do use it for that. And then I'll store them until we're ready for honey, keep them clean, and then we're ready to go when we get to this step. So Ben's gonna jar it, and I am going to put the lids on. And we've decided here in a couple weeks, we're calling it a farmer's market day here at the farm. I've got a lot of goat's milk soap and lotion made. We're doing our honey, some different things. The kids have made some shirts and etched on some stainless steel cups and made some wooden signs, and we've got sausage and eggs and all kinds of things we're gonna sell that day, and just kind of have instead of people coming and going, we've tried that before with the soap and lotion and with the honey, and it's people coming and going for days, which is fine. I enjoy the visiting with people, but as you know, right now, this time of year on a farm is really busy. And so this will kind of be a one morning thing, we're hoping. We already know a few people that's coming that said, are wanting to know if our quantities are limited on how much they can buy. So I'm thinking some people might be here as soon as we open, ready to buy things like honey and lotion and things. So
and in some of our previous videos, you've noticed, or we've thrown it out there, ways we make money off the homestead. This right here with bees, to me, bees are very versatile, and you can make money in several different ways. Of course, we make money with the honey, as you see. I make money off of selling bees. I've sold bees in nukes. I've sold bees in swarm traps. I've sold bees in full hive setup, deep supers. Some people want their hives, they won't make honey that year. I'll sell them a hive with a honey super with bees, already drawn out comb, and they're going to get honey. I sold two to some people we got that buys milk from us, and when we slung our honey, they come over and we slung their honey. So there's just several different ways. And then on top of that, we got wax, all the wax cappings, the burr comb I scrape out.
That's another thing we're selling on our farmer's market day is candles from the wax.
We've made candles before. I don't know if you can see them in the background. We make them for ourselves, but also we've made some to give away as Christmas presents. We've sold them before, so there's several different ways that honeybees can make money. And one thing about honeybees is they don't involve a lot of labor. Not a lot of hard work goes into them. When you are out there working them, yeah, it's hot and sweaty, but I mean, how many days out of a month do I mess with them now? Used to, when I first got bees, I messed with them, seemed like every day, but as you know, on a homestead,
them.
Oh yeah, I
talked about them all the time.
We won't have to go into all that,
but you have relaxed a lot because honeybees are gonna swarm.
Yep.
You're not gonna stop them. That's in their God-given nature. They're gonna do it. So you just need to figure out a way to deal with it, and you're gonna have some hive beetles. That's another thing. It's just you are. You're gonna have some weak hives over the course of if you're gonna do beekeeping very long. Those are just things you're gonna have to make peace with. That you're not going to have the best hives of every single one that you have. I don't think.
No. No, all bees are like people. They're different. You can get aggressive bees, you can get gentle bees, you can get bees that just way outperform a beehive sitting right next to it. So what I'm doing here, what I keep looking at is Andrea has her quota that she wants to keep for the year, and when we do them, we put them in gallon jars, keep from having to mess with all this. So I'm trying to make sure what I'm going to do here is I get it off the bottom, because when you're jarring it like this, if these valves right here on the bottom of the bucket, after you let it set for a few days, all the air bubbles have risen to the top, and that makes for prettier jars of honey. Well, we're getting down close to the bottom, so I'm going to pull her gallon out, and it's going to have bubbles in it. She don't care what it looks like.
The basket.
But
anyway,
I'll spin it around there where you can kind of see, but the gate valve just makes it so easy to fill up the jars. It's got a bolt that lets it pivot, and then another bolt where you can lock it down and close it up tight, wing nut. But as you see now, you see the bubbles coming out. That's going to go in your jar. It does not make for pretty honey. So most of the time, that's the honey we keep. I know it ain't, there's nothing wrong with it. It don't look pretty. The longer you let it set, the more the bubbles that'll come out.
And I don't mind having it on these gallon jars, and it'll rise to the top, so it doesn't bother me. But I also have put out an elderberry syrup how-to video, so I may redo that one as it gets closer to winter, because we take it for cold and flu season. But I do have one out there, and it shows the process. It's one of our earlier videos, and I'm not sure how good a quality it is, but I do have one out there that shows how to make it. And I do, the final product, I make a concentrate, and then the final product is half elderberry syrup, half honey. So it's very, very effective. If I was going to do one thing to try to be healthier this winter, that's the one thing I would do, is take elderberry syrup.
Remember I said we had good neighbors and family members that blessed us with jars. Jars. They're under there. They're up there. They're over there. They're under there. We have got jars for days, and we are so thankful we have them. We gotta get back out of here.
Alright guys, so we're done jarring up the honey, and it's time to hit the sack, because we got another big day tomorrow of work and farming and all the things we do around here. So we appreciate you following our journey and our family, and if you haven't yet, hit the subscribe button and get in on our 1,000 subscriber challenge. We're still quite a ways from 1,000, but we're going up every day. So, and we'll link the elderberry video that I mentioned, and That all?
Give us a thumbs up on our liquid gold. We made a good robbery this time.
All right. See you next time.
God bless.